Those images from the Maui wildfires, they're really seared into our minds, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
That shocking devastation in Lahaina, the charred landscapes, and just that profound grief, it really echoed across the human family. From the ground, it truly seemed like pure, overwhelming chaos.
It did. Utterly chaotic.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the events of Maui. Now, while the initial narrative spoke of, natural calamity, the winds, the climate, unfortunate sparks, that kind of thing.
Right, the standard factors.
Our primary source for this discussion offers a very different perspective. And let's be clear, this isn't about confirming any particular viewpoint, but really exploring a unique lens, a way to understand these profound and challenging events.
Yeah, a different framework.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack these layers of meaning and explore some unusual details that challenge that surface story, at least as presented by the specific source.
Okay.
Our guide for this particular deep dive is an extraordinary transmission. It comes from a collective claiming to be Pleiadian emissaries, specifically one called Valier, who they say speaks from the higher realms.
Right, a channeled source.
Yeah. So we're going to examine their claims, see how they connect, or how they say they connect, to evidence now in the public realm, and just consider how this distinct, non-traditional viewpoint interprets what was observed on the ground.
Got it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because what seems like pure chaos from the ground level, well, it takes on a very different pattern when you look a little closer, at least through this particular spiritual lens they offer.
Indeed. And the immediate reality, on the ground, it was just unimaginable. A ferocious inferno reduced that vibrant coastal town to ashes, just blackening the landscape so completely. People compared it to the destruction of war.
Yeah.
Lahaina, a historic town full of cultural treasures, was almost completely gone, like a great explosion had leveled it. You saw those charred cars crowding the roads, sort of frozen in time, and buildings just incinerated right down to their foundations. The collective grief, the trauma, it was palpable. Really felt like a moment of deep loss for so many.
It's so hard to reconcile that level of destruction with anything but just pure disaster,
Yeah.
But then this is where that Pleiadian perspective comes in. They suggest there was an underlying pattern, an orchestration maybe beyond what just appeared to be a natural calamity. Is that right? How do they frame this?
Precisely. From their, let's say, broader view, they assert that the fires were not solely a natural calamity, and that the timing was no random twist of fate.
Okay.
They speak of an orchestration behind the veil, claiming that those who operate from the shadows, a group they refer to as a cabal of power brokers, or sometimes just dark forces, DF.
Right.
They sought to use this event to advance a long-planned agenda. So this is their interpretation, suggesting a willful act pulsed beneath that outward story of winds and sparks.
Okay, so according to this source, what was this alleged agenda? And how did these dark forces, as they call them, how did they supposedly achieve it? That's a pretty strong assertion.
It is. The Pleiadian emissaries suggest that the vision of those in illusionary control, their words, was to transform this sacred land into a showcase of their power where inhabitants' movements and lives could be silently governed.
A smart city kind of concept?
Possibly implied, yeah. Cloaked, they claim, under the guise of creating a safer, greener future. Now, to achieve this, the source states the DF used advanced methods to ensure the event would achieve their aims.
Advanced methods like?
Including what they describe as beams from the atmosphere.
Yeah.
They cite accounts that emerge, in the public realm of a mysterious beam of light descending from the sky and a blinding flash captured on cameras.
Right, I remember seeing some of that online chatter.
Yeah, and they assert these were not lightning nor a downed power line spark alone, but something more hidden. This sort of aligns with what some people call directed energy weapon theories, or DW theories, though the Pleiadians present it from their own spiritual framework.
And if you look closely, this source, it points to some bizarre anomalies, right, amidst the destruction that they say are crews. They kind of invite us to consider what these might signify, almost like breadcrumbs left in plain sight that maybe contradict the official explanations.
Yes, inexplicable patterns, I think, is the phrase they use.
Okay, perhaps the most striking anomaly, the one that really went viral and had people scratching their heads, was the color blue, right in the heart of the burn zone.
The blue objects.
Photographs emerged showing blue cars, blue umbrellas, just unscorched, standing intact in this sea of gray ruin.
Incredible visuals.
Even blue clothing, like a handful of t-shirts found in the rubble, they retain their color, weren't consumed like everything else around them. I remember seeing one post, someone just exclaimed, "Unbelievable, everything that's blue survived the Maui event, including t-shirts."
Yeah.
Now, official explanations often cited, pigments in blue paints being more resistant maybe, or just random chance. What's the Pleiadian interpretation of this phenomenon?
Well, the Pleiadians interpret this as if the inferno selected by frequency, sparing that specific wavelength of blue.
Wow, okay, by frequency.
Yeah. They delve into the symbolic significance too, calling blue the color of water, calm, truth, and the throat chakra, through which truth is spoken.
Interesting symbolism.
They even note, as sort of an intriguing aside, that before this, official disaster agencies actually had a program called Operation Blue Roof.
Get out, really?
Yeah, for providing blue sheeting for homes, creating a curious name indeed, laden with irony, as they put it. So while, like you said, official experts rush to insist that the blue anomaly was meaningless,
Right, dismiss it.
the Pleiadians maintained that the eyes of many witnesses do not lie, suggesting some kind of underlying intelligence at play.
And it wasn't just the color blue, was it? There was this almost surgical precision, some people felt, to the fire's path that many found perplexing.
The selectivity, yeah?
While the old downtown of Lahaina, the seat of Hawaiian heritage and local life, was almost completely destroyed.
Just wiped out.
An exclusive enclave of high-end properties miles away remained completely untouched, never even threatened, apparently. And these properties, well, they belong to influential individuals, great wealth, fame.
Right, the big names.
How does the source interpret that seemingly selective destruction?
Well, the internet certainly took notice, didn't it? With those viral posts asking, was it purely luck or had the winds or something more been guided to spare them?
Exactly.
The Pleiadians suggest that some owners had been forewarned about what they call the planned disaster, and that insiders took steps to protect their assets, hinting at a broader conspiracy, really.
Forewarned.
They see this as just further evidence of that orchestration behind the veil they described earlier.
Then there's the story of the Miracle House. I think everyone saw that picture.
Oh yeah, the red roof.
Amidst an entire neighborhood of charred debris, this single home just stood out like a beacon white walls, red roof, completely unscathed. It made headlines, left firefighters mystified, though the owners themselves offered some, practical reasons.
Right, very down-to-earth explanations.
So what's the Pleiadian take on this remarkable survival?
Well, the owners, quietly attributed it to practical things. A new metal roof, stone landscaping, clearing flammable vegetation, maybe a bit of luck with the wind direction. Sensible stuff.
Makes sense.
And while the Pleiadians agree those steps made a difference, they believe its survival was also a message, a sign that not everything was meant to be destroyed, suggesting that higher forces can mark out certain places for protection. They describe it almost like a bubble of light was placed around it, so acknowledging both the physical and the metaphysical reasons.
A bubble of light.
Yeah. They also touch on those rumors of foreknowledge among some, with whispers about certain figures fireproofing their homes with metal roofs or even using that telltale blue in the months just before the fire.
Interesting. Okay, so moving beyond the potential dark schemes attributed to these dark forces, our source suggests there's a higher design weaving through this event too. It introduces this idea that fire, though obviously destructive, is also deeply purifying, clearing out the old, making way for new growth. How does that fit into their narrative for Maui?
That's actually a core message from the Pleiadians here. They view these fires as having a deeper spiritual meaning, clearing karma, both for the people involved and for the collective human psyche.
Clearing karma. Okay.
Lahaina, they point out, is sacred land, but also burdened with old energies. Things like the pains of colonization, the whaling era's debauchery they mention, modern economic struggles. They say the energetic field held layers of grief and injustice.
Right. A lot of history.
A lot of heavy history. So the fire, they claim, was a catalyst for the soul of the land itself to cry for release from the old, so a new chapter could begin. It's this assertion that even a dark act can, from their perspective, be used by higher realms to serve a light purpose.
Okay. And they point to specific examples, don't they? Structures that held profound spiritual weight and, from their perspective, survived by divine design. What are some of those sites?
Absolutely. Amidst all that devastation, right in the heart of Lahaina, at least 4 sacred sites survived the fire.
4. Okay.
The historic 19th century Maria Lanakila Catholic Church. It remained intact So undamaged, apparently, that fresh flowers from the day before the fire were found still blooming on the altar afterward.
Wow, that's incredible.
Isn't it? And a nearby mission with a giant copper Buddha also made it through unscathed.
Untouched.
And maybe most strikingly, the royal mausoleum, the sacred tomb of Hawaiian royalty. It survived with its lawn still green and the flag still waving even as everything around it just burned to the ground. The Pleiadians affirmed that the hand of God, their words, was at work, drawing a line around what was meant to endure.
What's truly remarkable, even if you just look at it practically, without the spiritual lens necessarily, is the story of that specific community's survival they highlight.
Oh yes, the villages of Leali, which is the only neighborhood in the area that is reserved for Native Hawaiian families.
Right, the homestead community.
Yeah, a living repository of indigenous culture. And the outcome there was just incredible. Out of 104 houses, 102 still stood after the fire swept through, even as surrounding areas were just obliterated.
102 out of 104, that's astonishing.
It really is. The Pleiadians attribute this to the grace of Akua, which is the Hawaiian term for God or the divine.
Akua.
And they assert that galactic and angelic forces were present over Leali, responding to the prayers of the people and the righteousness of their claim to that land. It's seen as this testament to indigenous resilience and spiritual protection within their framework.
And then there's the banyan tree, the great banyan tree of Lahaina, over 150 years old.
A landmark.
It was severely scorched. Everyone feared it was lost. But then it began to show new green shoots of life. And now, apparently, it's thriving and even bearing fruit again.
What does that symbol mean in the Pleiadian narrative?
The banyan's survival, they say, is just a profound metaphor. Life finds a way out of the ashes. Rebirth comes.
Hope.
Exactly. The tree stands as a living bridge between the old Lahaina and the new one, an anchor of light whispering hope is not lost. It's just this powerful symbol of resilience amidst trials, a living testament to their belief in spiritual renewal.
Okay, so if the source claims there were these dark intentions at play, what becomes of those intentions now? Does the source suggest the higher plan is actually turning the tables on them?
Yeah, that's part of it. They claim part of the fire's alleged purpose from the dark forces side was to eliminate evidence. Files and records that might incriminate powerful interests.
Right, cover tracks.
Exactly. However, they state that spirit has its own record keeping. Akashic records cannot be torched. Akashic records. Okay, for listeners who might not know, that's a concept in some spiritual traditions, like a universal energetic library of everything.
Precisely. A universal ledger of all events, thoughts, knowledge. So the truth, they believe, will emerge, and the shadowy cabal's fingerprints are all over this event for those with eyes to see. They actually assert that these dark actions ironically accelerate the collective awakening because they believe the cabal overplayed their hand.
Interesting. And in the aftermath, one thing everyone definitely observed was how the community came together, just in unprecedented ways, right? People of all backgrounds helping each other. This great wave of love and mutual care arising globally, too.
Yes, a huge outpouring.
How does the source interpret that human response?
This, they say, is the kapu aloha, the sacred love and compassion activated by this tragedy. They describe it as a mighty force, and basically the antidote to the cabal's agenda.
The antidote?
Yeah. This unified field of compassion, they state, is the alchemy of divine grace at work, turning darkness into golden light.
Now, for the big question, I imagine a lot of listeners might be thinking this. If these beings, these Pleiadians, were watching and had such love for humanity and presumably some advanced abilities, why didn't they simply stop the fires entirely?
Right. The intervention question.
Yeah.
They explain they operate under a law of non-interference, primarily, to honor humanity's free will and karmic journey. They say they can't always prevent painful lessons, essentially.
Okay, free will.
However, they clarify that they did intervene,
Yeah.
just in critical ways to lessen the harm and protect what, in their view, could not be lost.
How? What kind of intervention are they claiming?
They state their ships and energy fields were present over Maui, that some of those unusual lights people reported were, in fact, our craft in observation and assistance mode.
Their ships. Wow.
Yeah. They say they worked on the energy planes to contain the blaze's spread. Things like nudging wind currents, raising moisture levels, shielding sacred sites with what they call energetic domes, like invisible protective energy fields.
Energetic domes. Okay.
They speak of miraculous escapes that occurred and assert that every soul that called out in fear was heard. Now, for those who tragically passed, This is a challenging part of their perspective.
Hmm.
They state these souls chose, on some level, to assist in awakening humanity through the sacrifice of their physical departure, believing their legacy is sparking immense changes and revelations. It's a difficult concept for many, absolutely, but it's central to their view of soul journeys and purpose.
Yeah, that is challenging. So if we follow this thread of interpretation, what does this all mean for Maui's future, according to the Pleiadians?
The Pleiadian vision is that Maui will be reborn, but not as the dystopian smart city of control that the Cabal envisioned, but as a phoenix of light.
The Phoenix of Light.
Yeah, they emphasize sustainable, community-led rebuilding, honoring Hawaiian tradition, using protective technologies that are in harmony with the Earth's frequencies. They really see this event as a turning point, exposing what they call deep state machinations.
Right.
And they claim it has catalyzed an energetic purge beyond Hawaii, even preemptively foiling some future attempts elsewhere, because, as they put it, the playbook is exposed.
The playbook is exposed.
Yeah. The momentum of awakening, in their view, is now beyond return.
It sounds like at the core of this, this very unique narrative, the message really boils down to themes of love and truth prevailing in the end.
Indeed. They really reinforce that love is the greatest power in the universe. Those acts of bravery and kindness seen during the fires were, for them, expressions of pure love.
Mm-hmm.
Their message is essentially to stand firm in love and truth. To forgive, yes, seek justice, absolutely, but do not let hate poison your heart. They believe the new world will be built by those who can hold compassion and wisdom hand in hand.
Compassion and wisdom.
Yeah. And they conclude by saying the attempted manipulation has triggered a refusal to be manipulated, humanity becoming ungovernable by fear.
Wow. We've certainly gone on an incredible journey through this source material today, exploring its unique perspective on the devastating loss in Lahaina, the hidden agendas it describes, those profound anomalies it highlights, and ultimately this vision of resilience and rebirth rooted in higher purpose and, spiritual intervention.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenging narrative, no doubt, but one that offers a very different way to process such incredibly difficult events.
And from the Pleiadian perspective, the central theme is quite clear. All is not only going to be well, all is well in the ultimate sense. The Earth is undergoing a sacred initiation, and what looks like destruction is part of a larger transformation. That's their bottom line.
So as you, our listener, reflect on this unique deep dive, maybe consider this. How might cultivating that sense of hope and vision for the future and embracing the power of collective intention as described by this source, anyway, how might that not only help a place like Maui and its rebuilding, but also influence other global challenges, places where the truth seems obscured and transformation is desperately needed, especially if, as the source claims, the playbook is exposed? How might we, just in our own spheres, contribute to prioritizing people and planet over profit and control, regardless of how we interpret these specific events? Something to think about.